seat to sit, and a lot of invitation and welcoming and introduction and so on and so forth. So people may sometimes think that the speaker is actually very glorious. But actually the reason why they put up on a big stage is because then if you sit down, people at the back cannot see. And the reason a mic is given is because the person may be small but the message is very large. So it needs to be echoed. But however, the most important person in the whole assembly are the listeners. Because it's possible that the students come and this person doesn't come. So they wait, but then when it's already 5-10 minutes late, then someone else can sit in and the class continues. But if this person comes and the loving audience don't come, then Amrit Gaurangi Mataji tells Amarendra Das that Prabhu, unfortunately the program is cancelled. So between the visiting guest speaker and the loving, interested listeners, the listeners are more glorious. So I really want to thank all of you for coming. You can do so many things with this time. You could have played chess, you could have watched TV, you could have watched a movie, you could have gone out, you could have just slept. You still can do that, by the way. As I start to speak, you can still catch up on your sleep. I'm known to put people to sleep. By the way, it's interesting. I don't get sleep at night, I'm insomniac. But I somehow have this mystic siddhi of giving something that I don't have. That's sleep. So I encourage all of you not to sleep, but to be very attentive as you can. And thank you all for coming. I want to thank, I think the parents at the back, no? Some kid, parents of some kid. These kids? Yeah. Okay, I'm correct. So parents and well-wishing superiors. Is that a good term? Gita Mataji? Adi Gadadhar Prabhu and Radha Mataji. And not to forget Prabhu. Thank you so much for being here and taking care of this recording. If not for the recording, how can other listeners who are not participating at the moment watch? Because sometimes we see the audience would have only about 15-20 devotees. Like for example, I facilitated this discussion on Ekadashi a few years ago. And it was quite interesting in the sense that it was just a casual class. It wasn't a well-prepared, well-announced. It was just on one of the weekdays. And we had about 15-20 live audience. And the video, the devotee who takes care of the video recording at ISKCON Boston, he asked me, is it okay if I can record this? I said, I'm a very shy person. I would prefer if you don't record. He said, it's not for you, it's for those who didn't participate today. I said, okay. I thought another 20-30 would watch. But that video ended up touching like 160,000 views. So we never know. Sometimes the message or the program can be so exciting that even if the audience is only about 20 or 30, maybe a few hundreds or thousands can watch. So thank you, Prabhu, for doing that seva.
Thank you.
As we begin this discussion, I have been asked to speak on how to study Shastra and how to relate the Shastra, the scriptural study of the verses in the life, in the world that we live in. But I think before we start off with how, is an important question to ask why. Because if you're not convinced about something, you won't put in the hard work to know how. Like if I'm not convinced about a certain sport, I'm not going to go understanding how to play it. Because in the first place, I'm not convinced whether I'm supposed to play it. Oftentimes people ask this question, how to study Shastra? But I think before that, it's very important to know why to study Shastra. Before even that question comes another question. Why to even be spiritual? You know, nowadays you have so many groups which say, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, right? People oftentimes ask about, what's the need of God? What's the need of spiritual life? What's the need of meditation? Why do we have to do and come for these classes and wear the same t-shirt, I think, almost? The blue for the boys and pink for the girls. And what does it read?
Oh, Krishna, the wise.
GitaWise.
GitaWise, okay. GitaWise. Nice. Why to come for this and wear the same t-shirt? That could be a question. Why to come for these classes? What is the purpose? What am I supposed to gain out of it? Like for example, let me put on a question here. For those who hit the gym, I don't. You can see by that. You know, in India there was a very big blockbuster movie called Bahubali. How many of you have heard of it? You've heard of that movie? Yeah, it was a big blockbuster. Hundreds and thousands and lakhs and millions of people watching it and lots of money made. Can I tell you the joke out of that movie?
Yes.
The name of the hero who's playing Bahubali, the most well-built character in that whole movie, with an 8-pack. It's not 6-pack, it's 8-pack. His name is Amarendra. So in one of the programs, they asked me to speak on Bahubali, and I had no clue what this Bahubali meant. They told me, can you speak on Bahubali? And I said, sure. And then I went around researching what that word meant, and then they said, it's a movie. I said, movie? How do they relate to someone with Bagal Bandi from Vrindavan with a dhoti to an 8-pack guy? Because I typed Bahubali and none of that matched my profile. And then I got to know his name was Amarendra Bahubali. And guess what? When they were introducing me just before that talk, they said, we have a talk on Bahubali, and people were like, yay! They had no clue what's coming up. And then was the joke. And the speaker for tonight is Amarendra. And there was a big roar, cheer, people whistling. And I knew there was something wrong. Because I didn't think my name could bring in like whistles and cheers. I mean, it's just unusual. In an audience that I didn't know. Even in an audience, it's like when Amarendra's coming, oh my God, this guy again. And especially in an audience who didn't know me and whom I didn't know, to have whistles and cheers and applause, and some of them were even standing ovations. So I was wondering, I was on that seat and I was thinking, what's happening? And then I got the joke, okay. Then I started off the talk by saying, wait a minute. My mother didn't name me Amarendra after the movie. The movie actor was named Amarendra 25 years after I was born. But we have nothing to do with each other. They said, that's not why we are laughing. I said, then why are you laughing? They said, that guy's Amarendra Bahubali. Look at you. He had 8-pack, you have a family pack. And so I was thinking, oh my God, it's interesting. You know, it's kind of interesting. So nowadays in a generation where it's all about movies, it's all about making money, it's all about sports, it's all about politics, it's all about becoming famous, what's the need to be spiritual? Why even come here and spend time chanting verses in Sanskrit? How can we apply that? And what do we ultimately gain? In the past, those who have heard these verses, what have they gained? What is the best thing that I can gain out of these scriptures, these pages? That's a very good question to start with. If we are convinced about the path that we're taking, then we could think about how to do it in an efficient way. Oftentimes we don't have interest in this path because we're not convinced enough of doing it. Coming to the example of Bahubali, think about those who hit the gym. Anyone who goes to the gym religiously? Wow!
They're shy.
Oh, they're shy, okay. Feel free, I'm not going to pick on you. You know, it's an inspiration for others. Anyone? Please put your hand up. There's Prabhu right there who goes to the gym, I believe. Anyone else? Because I can put my hand up saying I go to the gym.
I used to be, but not anymore.
Not anymore, okay. That's a nice diplomatic answer. I can use that, by the way. If someone tells me you go to the gym, I used to. But now I don't, so I just flexed out. Anyway, coming to the gym. Think about lifting the dumbbell. And you've seen these gyms, they're filled with glass panes. They're filled with mirrors all over. And I've seen people, one of my roommates, when I was doing my master's, one of my roommates, he was never very regular to the gym, but the first day when he went in, and I went with him just to explore like him. I didn't pick up anything, but I just observed him, it was fun. So he just picked up the dumbbells, and the first thing that he did was looking into the mirror. And the feeling that he was getting out of it, and then he was like, And that day when he walked home, he was like... And then 2 weeks he did. So the point is, when you go to the gym and you pick up a dumbbell, and you keep moving on, you keep working out, what happens in a few weeks? What happens in a few weeks when you genuinely, sincerely, seriously work out? What happens? Do you see a change in yourself? Do you see a change? Do you see some physical gain, an investment of time? Now when you see something coming out, you see your muscles shaping up, your faith in moving your dumbbells up and down increases because you're actually seeing some tangible result. Imagine dropping the dumbbell down. You have nothing in your palms and you just go like this. You have nothing in your hands. You don't have your dumbbells and you just go like this. What happens after some time? Do you see any change here? You don't. On the other hand, your faith in the process goes down. Why? Your faith in the process goes down because you don't see any effect. And on the other hand, you think it's a waste of time because there's no good coming out of it. I may as well do something else. So when there's no dumbbell in your hand, the same activity seems a waste of time and you lose faith in the gym because you don't see any value. But on the other hand, if you have substance, if you have a dumbbell in your hand, it's investment of time, your faith in the process increases because you see tangible effect. This is the point I'm making. When you get onto a path and you do it ritualistically without the dumbbell of meaning, when you get into a spiritual path and you don't know why you're doing it, the dumbbell of value is missing, you find that path to be useless, you think it's a waste of time, and you gain nothing out of it. On the other hand, on your spiritual path, if you add the dumbbell of asking the questions why, and how, and what, and which, when you know what you're doing, and you add the spirit behind it, then you see tangible effect. Your faith in the process increases, and you think it's an investment of time. So I oftentimes say this. In a spiritual path, the word spiritual is made out of two words. The first word is spirit, and the second word is ritual. If you take the spirit out of your path, then your path is not spiritual, it is a ritualistic path. You're not going to gain anything out of it. Just go to the temple on a Sunday, look around, dress in a certain way, talk in a certain way, put a mark on your forehead, put some kanti beads, have some prasad and leave. And when you do that over and over again, every Sunday, without the spirit behind it, as to why am I going to a temple? Why do we even need a temple? What is the purpose? What am I supposed to gain out of these chanting of these verses? What is the aim of all these deities? What is the aim of the chanting? What is the aim of the Gita? What is the aim of congregating like this? When that spirit is lost, then it is ritualistic, we have no faith in the process, it seems like a waste of time, and there's no value added. But behind that ritual, when the spirit is added, it's no longer ritual, it is spiritual. So therefore, before we know how to study the Shastra and how to connect, this discussion, let us spear it towards what is the relevance of the Shastra? What is the relevance of the spiritual path in the age of technology? Does that sound like a good question? Everyone sleeping already?
No.
I didn't know I have that fast an effect. Interesting? Okay. Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, in 1965, at the age of 69 years old, he came to America. And in the span of next 11 years, he established 108 temples. 108 ISKCON centers, which have now in 50 years grown up to 700 centers globally. Oftentimes this question is asked, ISKCON, instead of building temples, why can't you just build hospitals instead? At least you'll be doing something good to society. You can at least treat patients. You can do some tangible effect to society. You guys are just building up, getting property and building a temple. Srila Prabhupada was asked the same question, something very similar. When Srila Prabhupada came to London, Srila Prabhupada was asked, why have you come to London? A news reporter interrogated and interviewed Prabhupada and said, why have you come to London? And Srila Prabhupada, as witty as he was, he said, Actually, the British ruled India for more than 100 years. And you guys ended up stealing everything from us. Literally stealing. Because when you go to the British Museum in London, I had a fortune of being to London, and the British Museum in London have documented every single thing that they have stolen from different countries. Along with the date, by the way. You find the swords, you find the books, you find so many different antique pieces and dates. This country, this city, this date. Wow, and people pay in some money to enter and have a nice look. So this place in Britain, in London, when they interview Srila Prabhupada, why have you come here? Prabhupada said, actually, you Britishers, you ruled India for more than 100 years and you ended up stealing everything, but you forgot to steal one thing, and that is the Bhagavad Gita. I have come to give it to you. So in that way, the stealing record is 100%. If you desire to steal, why not just sweep everything? That was an interesting point. Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada had come to give the Bhagavad Gita, which is taught in Sanskrit, which is expressed in Sanskrit, which was heard in Sanskrit, which was spoken in Sanskrit, the same Sanskrit, the same Gita that all of us are studying. Gita, which originates in India, has gained so much respect with respect to the linguistic aspect of Sanskrit, especially in Europe. I was speaking to one person from Germany who's doing research in linguistics in the department there, of university there. And he was telling me something very fascinating. He said the government of Germany has invested hundreds and thousands of dollars in just researching the ancient texts of India, which is in Sanskrit. Why? Because they find Sanskrit language to be a key, which can open up so many hidden treasures of scientific discovery and technology, which is found in the scriptures. And he gave me a fantastic example for that. He said, in ancient India, there used to be a Maharishi, a great sage by the name Charak Maharishi.